NASA astronaut goes on the record to make roaring claim about Trump's Space Force program. With all the liberals poking fun at President Trump's new Space Force branch of the United States Milliary, someone said enough and decided to put out a video explaining why it is in fact an idea that's needed in today's world. Retired U.S. astronaut Clayton C. Anderson isn't sure if he supports an actual Space Force, but he does support America protecting her people and her assets in whatever way is necessary, and in whatever place is necessary. Anderson made 100% clear in the video posted above that he is all for peace in space as on Earth, but that doesn't take away from the fact that threats do exist in today's world. He states he wants a peaceful world, just rightly so. Also says not all nations in this world do. So until every single solitary country on this planet decides they want the same thing, we have to think the way we do. He is 100% correct on this. Here is more via CBS News. President Trump officially directed the Pentagon to establish a sixth branch of the U.S. military in space on Monday. Speaking at a National Space Council meeting at the White House, Mr. Trump called for a Space Force to ensure American dominance on the high frontier. The president also signed his administration's third space policy directive, calling for establishment of new protocols and procedures to manage and monitor the increasing numbers of satellites in low Earth orbit and the tens of thousands of pieces of space junk and debris that pose an increasing threat to costly spacecraft. The directive follows on the heels of two other major space policy initiatives being implemented by the National Space Council, one calling for returning humans to the Moon before eventual missions to Mars, and another aimed at streamlining the federal space bureaucracy to reduce red tape and streamline licensing and oversight of commercial space activity. In remarks that ranged over a variety of unrelated topics, Mr. Trump began by saying current U.S. employment levels were the best in recorded history and blaming current immigration problems on the Democrats, saying we have the worst immigration laws in the entire world and that ongoing issues could be resolved very quickly if the Democrats come to the table. Everybody wants to do it, he said. We want to do it more than they do. If they come to the table, instead of playing politics, we can do it very, very quickly. Turning his attention to space, the president praised the National Space Council and its chairman, Vice President Mike Pence, for its work refocusing national space policy, saying for too many years, our dreams of exploration and discovery were really squandered by politics and bureaucracy. And we knocked that out. My administration is reclaiming America's heritage as the world's greatest spacefaring nation, he went on. The essence of the American character is to explore new horizons and to tame new frontiers. But our destiny, beyond the Earth, is not only a matter of national identity, but a matter of national security. He said when it comes to defending America, it is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. We are going to have the Air Force, and we are going to have the Space Force, separate but equal. Anderson also speaks of a changing world where a nation like China can blow up an orbiting satellite even though it was one of their own and it was one that didn't work anymore, but when that capability is demonstrated, it gives pause to think about that capability they might have to blow up American assets in space. And finally, Anderson goes on to state that the military has to protect our country and its assets not only on land, in the sea, and in the air, but also in cyberspace and yes, now even in outer space. If you think back, oceans, mountain ranges used to be sufficient defense between countries, right? Said Anderson. Because country A oftentimes wants what country B has. And the history of our world, how did they get it? Usually through conflict, so those oceans, those mountain ranges, are a lot easier to circumvent these days in the world of military technology and tactics. So, now with space, it's the same thing. So everything has adapted. Funny how the liberals are all about making fun of Space Force, although they relished in trying to desperately compare Barack Hussein Obama to Mr. Spock from Star Trek back in 2009. All the time forgetting that unlike Obama, Mr. Spock was logical and very competent at his job. Or maybe they are just upset that President Trump has brought NASA